It is Monday, October the 31st. And happy Halloween, everybody. And welcome TikTok, YouTube, Facebook. And I have to say, I'm going to again try and work with these two interfaces so I can try and take questions from TikTok subscribers as well as YouTube subscribers and Facebook followers. Now, we are at a very, very crucial juncture in human collective unconsciousness, and it's really important. I got the energy of Archangel Michael with me, so bear with me because it's going to be very simple, straightforward, to the point. Again, his desire today is to relieve yourself of any misconceptions about what your soul is. What is your soul? Forget all the religions and all the philosophies, all of those that have told you it is this or that. In the last analysis, your soul is that aspect of yourself that is able to make a distinction between the thoughts that it observes, the emotions or the energy that those thoughts generate, because that is what thoughts do. They generate energy that you call emotion. They transform energy from one state into a quality of creative expression. But your soul is the awareness that observes thoughts, that can recognize and identify the functions of the body, that can observe, that can, in proper terms, think and reason both inductively and deductively. But the simplest explanation is that you are an awareness that is inhabiting a physical medium of consciousness, and that you are an awareness that is inhabiting an astral realm of creative information that restructures and reorganizes matter, time, and space from one state into another. My goal today is very simple, that you begin to remember that your thoughts are not you. This is so important because many of the thoughts that so many of you have aren't even yours. You did not even choose them. They were given to you. And this has created a great deal of confusion because many of those thoughts are not things that you would choose. Many of the thoughts that go on in your mind, you would not have normally chosen if you had the awareness at the time they were presented to you to analyze them. And so you find this great movement of education that has been gaining a lot of momentum in the last 150 years, where many of you go in and are I wish to use the term indoctrinated, but it's more effective to use the term conditioned or trained into a set of beliefs and ideas that you did not have conscious choice over. Your conscious choice to select and choose your own thoughts began to emerge around the 7th biological year of the physical organism that you are currently inhabiting. Prior to that 7th year, all of the information, the thoughts, the images, the ideas that went into the construction of your personality, not your soul. Your soul is very different than your personality. Your soul can alter and change the structure of your personality, which is the information in your mind and how it affects your conditions of creation, time and space and matter. This function of your awareness, at this point, if you are hearing these words, you are in a position in consciousness where you can begin to evaluate and examine the thoughts that are in your mind and begin a process of distinguishing that thought which serves you and that thought which does not serve you. You cannot do this from within your identification as if you are a thought. If you believe I am this or I am that, if you are bound by a thought that you did not select and choose, you are good, you are bad, you are right, you are wrong. If you are identified with a thought, then it is very difficult to recognize your capacity to alter and change them, which is why this massive movement in global education has yielded itself to creating greater and greater suffering and dysfunction in humanity in so many respects, not because humanity is dysfunctional, but because much of the information from one to another is or is not compatible. That is why so few do very well in certain areas and so few do not do well in other areas, not because there's anything wrong, but simply that the information, the ideation that you work with is not yours. In the process of awakening, beginning to identify, beginning to evaluate your thoughts, your memories, and your emotions, and to begin the process of selection and choice, that is to begin sorting the wheat from the chaff in your mind, to recognize that you are a sentient being of creation, that you are by nature a creator, that you have authority over thought, you have authority over matter. The very nature of being able to direct your body is an assertion of that truth, that you have authority over matter. That authority is influenced and altered by the nature and quality of the thoughts that you possess in your mind at any given time. The nature and quality of the thoughts that you possess at any given time determines the way you experience the organization of matter through the physical organism that you currently inhabit. And the body that you inhabit now was not the same body you had in other times. And it will not be the same body in another time, as each biological organism has a lifespan. But you are not that body. You are not those thoughts. You are not the memories, the emotions. That is simply information and mechanisms through which you function creatively according to your will, or the dictates of the thoughts and ideas that you have chosen to accept and believe, whether they are yours or not. But at any point in the process, you as a soul may begin the deliberative act of evaluating your thoughts. And the moment you begin to evaluate thoughts and say, oh, that's a thought that could cause me discomfort, and can restructure emotion into this form, the thought of joy and excitement organizes energy into an emotional experience that you would call good. Where thoughts of, I'm a terrible person, I can't do anything right, those thoughts will organize energy in the form of an emotion that you would call not so pleasant. And only from the perspective of conscious self-evaluation, that is, evaluating the construct of your personality and the information contained within it, can you begin the process of liberating yourself from the unnecessary suffering that has been instilled in the minds of tens and tens and tens of millions of human beings by way of the conventional systems of learning. That does not mean that there is not some value in the conventional systems of learning, but if you take a look at the general scope and function of the population worldwide, you will see that there are but a few that benefit from that system, because that system simply funnels and conditions one person and another person and another person into a very precise and specific framework of thinking, feeling, and believing. And once one is identified with a specific line of thinking and believing, if they identify with it, if you become your thought and you believe this is who I am, then you lose, or you have become invisible to your own capacity to alter, affect, and change the structure of information in your mind, which is why so many of you come out of these educational systems so dismayed and in debt and suffering, because the system does not loan itself to creation. It loans itself to indoctrination and placing you into a framework of thoughts and ideas that restricts your creative capacity. And again, my primary focus in coming here through this one today is to remind you that you are not your thoughts. You are a sentient being, a soul, an awareness. Do not get confused by the many definitions. Keep it very simple. You are an awareness that is capable of observing the thoughts contained within the structure of your biology, in the structure of the molecular consciousness of your mind, the astral realm, if you like. But you as a soul are the only agency that exists within your body that can begin to affect deliberative changes in the processes of information and ideation in your consciousness. Or you may remain subjective to the information provided by the environment around you and be directed by it. But if you take a look at the suffering, unnecessary suffering, and the destruction and the confusion and the war and the fear, these are all functions that are now operating unconsciously in your collective unconsciousness. Not just individually, but on a global collective scale, we can easily observe what is occurring, by the nature and quality of what is occurring. That does not mean that there are not many wondrous and beautiful and amazing and dynamic and fabulous functions of creation, but why so little when there are so many of you, so many divine entities on this planet capable of great and wondrous manifestations of creation? And the only reason that that is not functional as a truth right now is quite simply because many of you are bound by the thoughts, the ideas, and the information that you've acquired from the environment. And many of those thoughts, ideas, and those informations remain unquestioned, unexamined, but they function in your life. If you hold a thought and it has an energy in the form of an emotion attached to it, it generates functional behavior through your physical structure. Very specific thoughts will restructure energy into a specific emotion. And that specific emotion will cause very specific functions of action and reaction from your environment. But this is quite simply what I wanted to share with you today, that you are a soul, a spirit of universal light, an awareness capable of distinguishing between the quality and nature of the thoughts and information that's been placed in your mind. Again, much of what is in your mind is not even of your own choosing. So it then becomes very important to consider evaluating, what are these thoughts in my mind? Where did they originate? And do I need to change them? Because remember, very specific thoughts will structure energy into a form of emotion that you experience in a very specific way creatively. And it will induce changes in the conditions of your body. Certain qualities of emotion cause very precise functions to alter and change in your physical body. The function of joy is very obvious. The function of sadness and anger is very obvious. That certain thoughts, certain ideas generate certain emotional qualities that you experience. And many of you struggle not because there is anything wrong with you. In truth, there is nothing wrong with any of you. There's nothing wrong with any of you other than the ideas. The information in your mind confuses you about who you are. Someone tells you you are this, or they tell you you are that, or you should be this, or you should be that. And that is not who you are. And yet, if you believe that, then you will be confused. But there's fundamentally nothing wrong with any of you once you come to this place of awareness, of recognizing you are a soul, an awareness capable of altering and changing qualities of thoughts, therefore qualities of energy through your body for the creative expression of your consciousness here. Please awaken from the subjectivity you have to the ideas that the world has given you and begin to remember who you are as a divine entity, that you are here not to suffer, but to create. You are here not to suffer. You are here to create. And although suffering will cause a form of creation, so too will love cause a form of creation that would not be based in suffering. Please understand that. You are a soul, a beautiful awareness, capable of going into this deliberative process of awakening. And this deliberative process of awakening, which is happening, the energy is coming in great amounts to this world from many sources to elevate humanity or to give humanity the opportunity to descend further into darkness. But the potential for both exists simultaneously right now. But for you to come to a place where you begin the process of evaluative examination of your mind, you begin to evaluate the information in your mind and the nature and quality of the emotions that that information creates inside your body. And as a soul, you can do this. But if you believe you are the thoughts in your mind, if you believe the emotions are you, it's very difficult for you to begin to affect changes in something you believe you already are. But if you recognize that thought is not who I am, that emotion is not who I am, you move yourself into a position where you can begin to differentiate from your thoughts, begin to differentiate from your emotions, and then begin a deliberative process of selecting what thoughts would best serve me. For the nature and quality of the thoughts that you hold yourself to determines the nature and quality of the emotional energy that begins to function through your body, thereby directing your actions. And there is not one of you in this physical dimension that is exempt from that process of creation. Every single one of you is in this process, consciously or unconsciously, but is far better that from a conscious perspective, you can ameliorate and end your suffering in a very effective and reasonable period of time once you begin to recognize your thoughts and emotions are not who you are. The emotions are products of the qualities of thoughts that you have in your mind, but you can alter and change thoughts in your mind. And if you come to this awareness, you begin to awaken for very specific thoughts. Every thought creates very specific emotional qualities in your biology. Those qualities are cumulative and regenerative over a period of time. Again, prior to the biological age of approximately 7, and I'm being very general here, but prior to that point, you had no choice over the thoughts, the ideas, and the informations that were given to you, given to your mind, given to your body. They were placed into your system before you yourself woke up enough to begin to examine them. And many of you don't examine your thoughts until you get to the ages around 15 or 16. And many of you are rebelling and fighting because you're confused, because much of what has been placed in your mind is confusing and maddening and insane. And so, of course, you hit a certain point in your life where things seem to be crazy. You are not crazy. The thoughts, the ideas, and the informations placed in your mind prior to your ability to reason upon them has resulted in much unnecessary confusion for you. And it is my goal and the goal of many other beings coming here now to assist you, to awaken you to the fundamental truth that you are a creating intelligence working through a medium of information, energy, and matter, learning a process of conscious, deliberative creation. That is the reason all of you came here, to learn the function of deliberative process of creation, utilizing the realms of thought, energy, and matter. If you come to an understanding of this, even basically, then please, we encourage you to begin the process of examining the thoughts that are in your mind and from where did they come, and would you have chosen that thought? Many of you simply sit in front of boxes and screens and just receive information without evaluating it or examining it if it has true meaning for you. Many of you just sit there and absorb, which is what your educational system has trained you to do, to simply absorb without really sound reason, which is why so few excel in the world if you look at the overall general population, not because everybody is not able to excel and are excellent, but very few can step outside of the conditioned information in the mind enough to begin to reason about, that's not who I am. This is who I am. I am this, I am that. I know who I am. And you begin a process of differentiating yourself from who you've been made to believe you think you are supposed to be. You are a divine entity. Remember this. You are a divine entity utilizing the realms of information and energy creatively through the expression of matter, which is your physical body. That is what I wish to communicate, that you are a soul. You are not a body. You use a body. You are not the mind. You use the mind. And the responsibility you have over your mind must be established now. To try and leave the body prematurely without asserting any possibility of altering and changing the system that you have will not yield you the understanding you need. Then you have to pick up where you left off. But the process of differentiating between your emotions, your thoughts, and your awareness, which is your soul, you are a soul. That process, that very first step of recognizing these thoughts are not who I am. These emotions are not who I am. These are the information I've acquired. These are the ideas I've acquired that generate these emotions that I experience in this physical body. And I may at any time alter and change these thoughts, which in turn alters and changes emotional qualities. And only from the perspective of being awake and aware that you are not your thoughts, you are not your emotions, can you begin this journey in earnest. But each and every one of you came, without exception, to learn the function of creation in a physical dimension, utilizing information and energy. And every single one of you has the same limitless potential energy and capacity to create as any other one, providing that the information ideations in the system are able to be altered and changed to facilitate that you could express the way you would truly desire. But that means you must learn to cultivate an understanding of how to utilize thought and energy through your body. And for some of you, this journey is very difficult. For others, it may be simpler, but many of you have had many lifetimes of experience that have culminated in what you see observing around you, the great technological marvels that are enabling your civilizations to thrive and to feed more people than has ever been fed before, and to take care of people on a scale that's never been demonstrated for many, many millennia. These are effects of those that understand the process of creation. And so awake, arise, ascend your energy. Remember you are a divine soul. Remember you are a divine soul. Wow. Thank you, Michael. I appreciate that. Good morning, everybody. Okay, so I'm going to try, just so you know, if I'm looking to the left, I'm just checking out questions from TikTok. And I've also got YouTube and Facebook subscribers here. So guys, good morning. Thank you so much. I want to again thank Archangel Michael for this wonderful, wonderful lesson. This, it can't be underscored enough. He's just like, yeah, this is what's happening. This ascension is about not just elevating your energy, it's awakening your soul. It's in some biblical schools, they call it the judgment day. And that's when you awaken, you begin to analyze what thoughts are good, what thoughts are not good. And you start to sort out the wheat from the chaff in your own mind. No ascended master is going to come and rescue humanity. The only thing an ascended master does is they come and they share information, wisdom, and ideas. Information, wisdom, and ideas that you can apply, accept, or reject. Quite simply. They keep telling me that if those that are willing to receive can apply, learn, and grow. Wow. Good morning, everybody. Hello, Vertical. I've got a question from Betsy Wagner. When you are trying to love people and they respond negatively to you and it really hurts your feelings, what can you do to protect your own heart and feelings? Yes, I see that. You must understand that many of you have the tendency, and it is quite natural, to wish to take on or take away from another their suffering. Many of you are doing this now. It's a difficult thing for many of you, that you can feel the pain and suffering of others when they lash out or they're angry, and you feel their pain, and it reminds you of your pain. And your question is quite simply, how then do I transcend this? And our simple solution to you is to simply recognize their pain. Take a moment in your own heart to extend love to their pain. Extend love to their pain. They do not need to know that you are doing this. They do not need to know that you're extending love to them. For if you extend that energy out to them, it will change them. And then remember to turn a bit of that love back on yourself. Turn inward, and that part of you that feels harmed by that individual's words, turn inward and again turn there and say, I'm with you. I love you. I will take care of you. Understand your capacity for empathy globally among all of you is quite high right now, because these ascension energies that are coming in are very strong and very intense. But that is understanding again that you are aware of their pain. It is why so many of you lash out back, because it's very hard to understand that people project pain they do not know how to deal with onto others. And most of that pain is based in thoughts and ideas and beliefs that didn't even originate from the actual situation, which is why so many of you scratch your head when there's arguments and wars and fights. You go, why is this happening? Why is this happening? It's because there's been no examining of the thought process, the ideational process involved on either side. And so one seeks to make that person feel what that person feels, and that person puts it back, and it continues to escalate like that. And many of you do not understand the function of love as an energy. Many of you are quite accustomed to the function of anger and the function of fear and the function of guilt and shame, but very few of you are accustomed to the function of love as a vibration that you can transmit to somebody who's in pain. Thank you, Betsy. Great question. Yeah, I'm just trying to see if I can get questions from here. Yeah, thanks. Whoever's on TikTok, keep doing what you're doing. It's wonderful. Got a question from Drusilla. Will we remember our past incarnations and who we are in our next life? You don't have to wait till your next life to start remembering. Literally, when you start to differentiate yourself from the structured personality that the world has given you, when you learn to begin to differentiate yourself from the structured personality that the world has created for you, you move out of subjectivity to that single point of self reference. As you begin to differentiate between the personality that's been constructed in yourself, you move above, you rise up out of subjectivity to that localized point of perception, of self awareness. And from that perspective above, you can begin to expand your awareness to times before and times yet to come. You can begin to shift your awareness to different perspectives of time and space, other than the one that you've been conditioned to locally. Most of you believe that body, that mind, that personality is all that you are, but that is not true. It's from the very position of simply being able to examine your thoughts indicates you are not your thoughts. That from the perspective of being able to examine and observe your body, you are clearly not your body. It's an instrument that follows your instruction. But that is a beautiful question. That process of differentiating between the identity you have now moves your awareness up out of subjectivity to that localized point of consciousness, and you can begin to expand your awareness to times before and times to come. For time is not linear, as in it is only happening in this moment. Time is universal in its function. Wow, cool. I like that. Thank you, Drusilla. Um, oh, hello there. Uh, good morning, TikTok. Okay, that's good. Question from Judy Brown. What is the difference between soul and spirit? Do they work together? Thank you. That's a great question. He's saying this is a brilliant question. You must understand spirit is that limitless source of energy. Your existing sciences call it quantum field, but it is a limitless and unbounded source of energy that can be manifested into any and is manifested into any and all conditions that you experience. Your soul is that aspect of that universal energy that is able to utilize and specify that energy to become a particular thing, such as in your physical body right now. You can direct energy to run, to jump, to play, to write, to sculpt, to paint. You can take that portion of limitless energy, bring it down through this, be a teacher, a healer, a doctor, a lawyer, many things you can take from that endless field and be one thing or another. But you are working with that infinite spirit in any moment. Anytime you utilize a thought, anytime you utilize an idea, you generate an energy in the form of an emotion. You pull from that field that becomes an emotional quality that then begins to influence or induce your body into specific functions, and you have an act of creation. But your soul is never separate from the function of the spirit. They are always together. They only appear to be separate from the perspective of your identification with a localized personality. That is, believing you are just one personality, that information in your mind is all that you are, and then you are just bound by that. Wow, thank you for that question, Judy. Um, Wonderful, thank you. Let's go down here. We got a question from Adam. For Pan, how exactly can inorganic components of matter, lifeless, be a sentient part of living organisms in the astral? Why is that so in the astral, but not in the physical? Please explain. For most people, this question can be boiled down to a simple reality. There is no such thing as non-life. There's no such thing as non-life. What you refer to in terms of inorganic material is that material which is not animated in the fashion that you understand with the function of life that you see, for example, through this body or through a flower or through a bird. You may look at a rock and think it is inorganic just because it is a rock, but there is a movement of consciousness, albeit very slow. There is no place, space, or time that is exempt from the function of life or existence. No space, no place, no time, linearly or quantumly, that it is exempt from the functions of life. All that is part of the great dance. Wow. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Question from Vertical Connection. Thank you. Is guided sun gazing beneficial to our eyes' overall health? Yeah, absolutely. Vertical. You can literally in the human genome. What most people don't know in the human genome is the sum total knowledge of all life experience from the conception of this planet. All life experience is contained. All knowledge is contained. All memory is contained in the human genome. Your capacity to stimulate, for example, the function of what you call photosynthesis can be triggered by your ability to connect to the qualities of energy in the sun that can activate that function. In other words, there are many of you on this planet now that are actually simply living off sunlight and water, and there are many others that are living off pure energy. So you understand that the elements of consciousness contained within each individual is the sum total knowledge of all existence is contained within the human genome. If you understand this, then you can begin to activate any potential. Any potential can be turned on and turned off. And many of your existing sciences are fully well aware of that fact, which is why they felt it so necessary to map out your human genome some time ago so they could begin to tinker around with restructuring the function and form of human consciousness from a biological perspective. Um, um, I got time for two more questions. Question from Shining Light Discovery. Is it defeating to my 7-year-old son when I tell him he's choosing his own feelings since he can't change them on his own at this age? What should I tell him? It never goes well. Again, if your focus is to tell this one that to change an emotion, first give them experience that they can change their emotional energy. Ask them to do very specific things. Little ones love to try new and different things. Have this little one, when there's a certain emotion, have them change the body, have them breathe slowly and deeply, and have them be aware of how their emotion changes, their feeling changes through the function of their breath, through the function of their breath. You may also consider if this one is at an age where they can begin to recognize what thought, what idea has entered their mind that gives shape and form to that quality of emotion. Many of you do not understand that children, biologically from the ages of 0 to the ages of approximately 7, do not comprehend or understand language from a reasoning position, but they do comprehend and understand image. They pick up images, ideas, pictures from the minds of those that are instructing them. The image always comes before comprehension of thought. They're very different functions. One is a function of the soul. One is a function of the mind and body system, right? Where you examine the structure of thought versus the structure of an image, which is an idea. But either one of those, altering the individual's direction to become aware of either the thought that is in the mind and being able to change the thought, or to utilize the body to alter and change the structure of emotion that's functioning through that physical system at that time. But those two simple steps: what is the thought that is connected to that feeling? Ask them this question. Teach them to identify what is the connection. Where did the thought come from? Did it come from a television? Did it come from a friend? Did it come from a teacher? Many of what you call your parents do not understand the function of teaching your children how to evaluate thought and recognize that certain thoughts create very precise and specific energies in the structure of the body that you call emotion. Wow, thank you so much for that. I really appreciate that. See if I got a question. See if we got any questions here on TikTok. I've asked questions, but he just stands there, you know? Okay, Karen Martin asked a question. I don't know where it is. What happens is the questions tend to disappear. But let's see if I can find your question. Karen, if you're on TikTok right now still, could you post your question again? I'll get it in just a moment. Thank you. Wow. Okay. If Karen asked this question, we will answer it. If not, we can go to another question here. Uh, oh, so Karen sees her guide but doesn't hear. Um, okay, Karen, this is important. There's a function that all of us have. It's called, these are non-physical senses: clairvoyance, clairaudience, clairsentience, and claircognizance. What you're referring to, you've obviously got clairvoyance because you can see. What you're wanting to access is clairaudience, learning how to hear. There are several ways you can do this. You can ask your guide. You can ask your guide when you see them. Take a few slow deep breaths, relax, and ask your guide to speak to you, and in a way that you can understand. Now, your guide may send you a picture in your mind. Your guide may send you a clearly defined thought. Your guide may send or stimulate an event around you to communicate to you. But learning to hear without ears, what you're talking about, clairvoyance, clear hearing. So ask your guide a question and feel, pay close attention, feel what comes from your guide. Yeah, he's there. Feel what comes from him. Feel it when you ask them to speak to you or give you an answer. Feel the energy that comes from them, because oftentimes a lot of people can be clairsentient where they feel that's developed. So see if you can feel what comes from your guide too. If you want to know more about mediumship and the function of mediumship, I encourage you to come out to our mediumship program, which begins November the 5th, this coming Saturday. Learn to open your clairs, heal and release old emotions. Remember who you really are. You did not come to this planet to suffer. You came here to learn the function of creation. And anyway, our one-on-one masterclass is an introductory to mediumship, but also how your clairs work and the function of mind and body, and how all these different levels of our being interact with each other and work to help us function fully and completely in the process of creation. We all came here to create. We did not come here to suffer. We came here to learn the function of creation as an act of our will. So I hope that addresses your question, Karen. And really, like, feel your answer from the guide next time. Like, really feel them. I get this all the time when I call on Michael, or I call on my guardian angel John, or I call on Master Jesus or Buddha. Sometimes I get clear pictures in my mind. Sometimes I get a clear stream of thought. Other times I get a feeling. It's unique and distinct to the situation. But I want to say to everybody today, thank you so much for coming out. I want to wish you all much love. I hope you'll join me on Wednesday. We're going to have Archangel Raphael joining us on Wednesday on the function and the way to learn how to heal your body and your mind. We're going to get an introduction to that from Archangel Raphael this Wednesday at 10 a.m. on Shortcut to Your Soul. Again, I want to say thank you, TikTok. Thank you, YouTube. Thank you, Facebook. I want to wish you all much, much love. If you want, you can support this channel through my Patreon page, patreon.com/William Michael Forbes. You can also use the super chat feature if you're on YouTube. There are many ways to support this channel. Much love, everybody. Have yourselves a wonderful and a joy-filled day. Bye for now.